Okay, so in the interest of time, I'd like to go ahead and get started. So first off, my name is Shelby Grauer, and I am the grant coordinator for the Organized Retail Theft Grant Program. First, I want to thank you all for joining me today as we go over quarterly reporting. I want to acknowledge that in the chat there was questions about topics that we covered today. I will provide an agenda on the next slide that will hopefully address most of that. If there are any other questions and things that I didn't cover today, one thing that was brought up was allowable expenses. Please feel free to send me an email, and I'm happy to go over that with you. I have started recording on this so that we can go ahead and make this webinar available on CJC's YouTube channel for those that aren't able to attend to go ahead and be able to review it in the future. But for now, I'd like to go ahead and move forward. So today's webinar will be focused on quarterly reporting. I will start by providing you with an overview of quarterly reporting, and then I will walk through a complete walkthrough of the process. I will show you each step, including expenditure reporting, both of the incident reporting forms, and the optional adjustment request form. I will leave room at the end for any questions that you may have about the quarterly process specifically, and then we will move on to next steps. Quarterly reporting as a whole helps us measure the impact of the grant, so we appreciate you taking the time to submit this information to us. Quarterly reporting for organized retail theft consists of 4 tasks: the expenditure reporting, incident reporting for operations, incident reporting for prosecution, and an optional adjustment request. Keep in mind that the reporting components may change in the future as we learn about the work being completed by each of the grantees. Quarterly reporting must be submitted using SM-Apply, which is the same website that you used to apply for the grant. So hopefully you are familiar. If not, I will be providing information for you. Quarterly reporting opens at the end of each quarter. For this specific period, we are asking that you submit information for Q0, being April 1st through June 30th, as well as Q1, which is July 1st through September 30th. You'll see that those are both outlined here on the slide for you. We've also extended the deadline for this quarterly reporting period to November 15th in the hopes that this allows all of the grantees to complete the contracting process. Please keep in mind, however, that quarterly reporting is typically due by the end of the month that it is released. So we'll get started with the walkthrough next. To begin, we'll talk about expenditure reporting. So this is an opportunity for grantees to submit their quarterly spending. You'll see the image on the right is an example of an expense tracking sheet. I emailed these out to each of the primary contacts for each grantee at the beginning of the month. So hopefully you've received that. If you have not, please reach out to me and I'll be happy to provide that to you. You'll see that the Excel has 2 sheets. The first is the expense tracking sheet, which is for you to complete. You'll notice that each of the items that you have been awarded have already been pre-filled with the total award as well. Grantees need to record the amount that they've spent on each item within the corresponding column for that quarter. Since this period is for Q0 as well as Q1, please be sure that you're recording your spending within the quarter that your agency spent the funds. We do recognize that you may not have spent funds on each line item for each quarter. If that is the case for you and your agency, please enter a 0 just to acknowledge that no funds were spent on that line item during that quarter. Within this workbook, there's a second sheet that is titled CJC Admin Sheet. This is used by staff to record any adjustments or notes. It is viewable by you, however, it's not something that you would be able to edit. Once you've completed this expenditure report, please know that you will then need to upload it into SM-Apply. To complete this step, as well as access the remainder of all of your quarterly reporting, you'll log into SM-Apply as you did for your application, and you'll locate your agency's application. You'll see in mine that I have a few different tests for different programs that I'm on. So I've located my retail theft one, and you would go ahead and click Start. You'll see that you now have new tasks within your application for you to complete. They're in that middle section there that's titled Your Tasks. So to continue with expenditure reporting, I'm going to walk you through uploading that expense sheet under the presumption that it has been completed at the time that you're uploading it. So to open any of the tasks, you'll simply click on the title of the task, and it will open up all of the information for that task. Upon opening this task, you'll notice that a green semicircle has appeared next to the task name. This is important because it tells you that while you're working on the task, you have not completed the task. To complete the task, you'll begin by selecting Attach File, where you'll be prompted to upload your completed expense tracking sheet. Once the upload has completed, you will see that the file has saved the task, highlighted here with the blue arrow. To finish, please select Mark as Complete. Once this step is finished, you will notice that that previously half green semicircle is now a full green with a white check mark. This means that you've completed the task. Remember that an empty circle, as you'll see below that green circle, means that the task has not been started. A green semicircle means that it is in progress but has not been submitted, and a fully green circle with a white check mark means that the task is complete. To begin the next task, you may either you have two options to navigate to them. So you may either select back to application, or you can use the selection located on the left side of the screen to go ahead and click the next one that you would like to complete. For this walkthrough, I'm going to move on to the next one down, which is the incident reporting form for operations. So the purpose of this task is to capture incidents such as blitz, operations, fence takedowns, calls for service, and other similar events. You'll be asked to complete one form per incident. The form requests information about the incident as a whole, as well as information about individuals that you encountered that you are reporting action on. I'm going to go ahead and walk through each question as they're presented within SM Apply. I will note on a few of them that they are branching, meaning that whatever you answer may populate an additional question. So I'll bring that to your attention as well, but know that if you click something and another question pops up, it was just because of the answer on the question previously. So to begin within this task, the form asks you about the incident data as a whole. So you're asked to provide the incident date, the type of operation. The type of operation does allow you to enter an other option, and a branching question will populate that will allow you to provide a description. Please be detailed in your description if it isn't something that is covered within another option of the type of operation. Please also provide the agency case number and the zip code where the incident occurred. Next, you're asked about agency staff that were deployed during this incident. Please outline the total number of staff deployed, as well as the number of staff deployed that were grant funded. The next two questions are branching questions, again, meaning that your answer may prompt an additional question. So this question asks if your agency received any assistance from other agencies. Answering no will allow you to move on to the next question. However, answering yes will prompt the question you see down below, where you're asked to provide the agency name or names that assisted you during this incident. The next question asks if your agency recovered any items. Again, answering no will allow you to move on. Answering yes will ask you to please provide the total number of items and the total value of the items that were recovered during this incident. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Shelby.
Yeah.
So for our missions, we don't pull a centralized case number to detail like a solo incident or mission. We end up pulling one incident number essentially per arrest or documentable incident.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to kind of screw things up if we're trying to detail a mission, or would you suggest us like pulling an overall incident number and then a bunch of sub incidents for each arrest or something?
So my intent is not to create work for you. So what I would ask that you do in that is if you could write NA and maybe do a dash that says see individual information below. There is an opportunity for you to put that later, and it will make more sense once I show that to you, but feel free to just write NA, see below for the individual, and that is fine.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So continuing on, this next section asks how many individuals your agency encountered at this incident as a whole. So just please provide the overall number. And then next it asks if the encounter resulted in an arrest, citation, or referral to the DA's office of a report. Please know this is just a drop down of a yes, no. And then the chart that you see next asks you to indicate the number of individuals that had criminal action taken against them. So this is an opportunity for you to provide a breakdown of that number that you provided 2 questions above. So this next section goes back to what I was talking about with Mike's question, is it is specific to an individual that you are reporting on that you encountered through this incident. So please keep in mind that the information that you submit within this section is specific to the individual. So this would be a great place to go ahead and put in that case number where it asks you for agency case number that is specific to that person. So in this section, you're asked to answer the following. Was action taken against this individual? This is a drop down of yes, no. And then if action was taken, what action was taken? The agency case number and the court case number, the ORS provisions associated with this individual. Please indicate the number of items and the total value recovered. Again, we're asking for this to be specific to the individual versus the overall incident. And to provide a brief description of the items that were recovered relating to this individual. The next two questions ask about the individual's connection to a fencing operation. So the first is that at the date of the incident, was this individual linked to a fencing operation? And the next is that if upon further investigation, was this individual linked to a fencing operation? And then the last question in this section asks if you've previously encountered this individual regarding organized retail theft activity. And this is just a drop down of yes or no. So within this incident reporting form, there are multiple individuals available for you to fill out. Please know that you are welcome to fill out as many as you need. However, we understand that you may not need all of those, so feel free to also leave the ones that are not necessary blank. Then after completing the individual sections as needed, you'll see two final questions in this section. So you'll be asked what indicators of organized retail theft were observed during this incident. So just an explanation of what you saw at that time during the incident of the connections there. And then lastly, you're asked if you would like to report another incident. So within that question, it's a drop down. Answering yes and clicking next will prompt an identical page to what I just walked you through, where you will have an opportunity to detail another incident. Answering no and clicking next will complete the task and will allow you to move on. You're welcome to report as many as you need. It will just continue to populate. So the next task is the incident reporting form for prosecution. The intent of this is that it would be used primarily by DA's offices to capture case information. So we ask that you please complete one form per case. It's important, and I want to bring attention to this, that you do not include information for an individual within the prosecution form and the operation form. So we ask that if you're reporting on an individual at an incident, to provide all that information within that individual section of that incident. And vice versa, if you're reporting on it within the prosecution form, please report all that information within prosecution. As I walk through, you'll see that those are both very similar. They're just originating from two different agencies, with the idea that we have some just law enforcement grantees, some just district attorney grantees, and some that are a mix of the two. So we're trying to make sure that this applies to all of our grantees. So for this section, you'll be asked to provide the DA case number, the court case number, the date of filing, the incident date, and the zip code where the incident occurred. Next, you'll be asked to provide the name of the reporting agency and their case number, and to list the ORS provisions associated with this case. The next question asks you to provide the total number and value of items recovered during the incident where this individual was encountered. So again, that is incident as a whole if you have that information available. The next question asks you to provide the same information of number of items recovered and the value of items. However, this is linked to the individual specifically. So please remember that this question is for what the individual is responsible for versus the operation as a whole. And then the question that you see at the bottom there asks you again to please list the indicators of organized retail theft that were present during this incident. You'll then be asked if this incident was linked to a fencing operation. Again, this is a drop down of yes or no. And then finally, if you would like to report another case. It is also a drop down, just as you saw in the incident reporting form, meaning that if you answer yes and click next, and another report will open that is identical to what we just walked through, and you can continue to fill that out and repeat that process as needed. However, answering no and selecting next will complete this task for you. The next task is the adjustment request form. This task is entirely optional and does not have to be completed, but this is an opportunity for you to request to move funds that have been awarded to you. It's important to note that requests exceeding 10% of the overall award or requests that cause a programmatic change of your program will require commission approval. So to complete an adjustment request, please complete the form as seen on the screen. You will indicate how much you would like to move, the category you're requesting to remove funds from, and the category you would like to move funds to. In the next section, we ask that you describe the reason behind the request in the shift in funding, and then the next asks if you would like to move other funds. So that's an opportunity for you to request to move funds a few different ways. Please feel free to submit multiple requests at the same time. This form will continue to populate for you. And once you're done, you can go ahead and mark as complete as you have with the other tasks. So if you've marked a task as complete, but find that you need to edit the form, you would begin by opening the task that you need to enter. You'll click the 3 dots on the top right corner of the task, and you'll be given the option to download, reset, or edit the task. Choosing to reset the task will remove all of your answers and will revert you back to a blank form. So keep in mind that if you click reset, you'll have to re-enter any data that you entered. However, choosing edit, the one just below that, will just reopen the task as you see it presented to you and will allow you to go in and edit an answer instead of re-entering everything. Both serve a purpose, but I want to highlight them so that no one accidentally resets or edits when they meant to do the other. And then again, please remember to click Mark as complete once you've made your corrections. So after you've completed your task and you've finished any edits that you needed to make, you'll return to your application's home screen as you see here in the example. The first thing would be to confirm that you've completed all tasks that you wish to submit with a green circle and the white check mark as seen on the screen. The next would be to click Submit, the green button you see there highlighted, to go ahead and move forward with submitting your quarterly reporting. After choosing Submit, you'll be prompted to confirm your submission, which will give you a few different options. If you choose to review, you'll review your submission in a PDF form as it will submit to us. If you choose Submit, you will complete the process of submitting your quarterly reporting and won't be able to edit. After submitting, the screen will state what you see on the bottom right there of application submitted. So this means that you were finished. You will also receive an email that confirms that you have submitted your reporting as required. And once you receive all of those, you may know that you are finished with quarterly reporting and there's no further action needed from you. If you submit and find that you made an error or you didn't add something or you need it to be reopened, please reach out to me and I can go ahead and address that for you. Once you've clicked submit, you will not be able to go back in and retrieve information and make edits like I had shown in the previous screen. So for now, I know that was a lot of information, so I'd like to pause and allow time for any questions if anyone has any, as far as the quarterly reporting process as I've outlined in this webinar. You're welcome to either raise your hand or unmute, and I'll go through those with you. I believe it's Marnie.
Yes, thanks. So you said this quarter you've given an extension, but normally they're going to be due by the end of each quarter, not after?
After. It is still at the conclusion of the quarter. So typical quarterly reporting for this period that we just closed, that ended on September 30th, would have opened as close to October 1st as we could have, and then would likely have been due by October 25th if it was falling within a typical one. So it will still be the month following quarterly reporting. You don't need to have it submitted by the end of the quarter that you're submitting information on.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. I don't want to move forward without answering. Okay, I see one more. Go ahead.
Hi, I just had a quick question on the reporting. Is it one individual person completing all sections of the reporting, I guess, or is it each person, like for instance, like the prosecution part of it? Would that, would the DA be doing that? I guess I
Are
just
you?
wanted clarification.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you part of a task force where it's a joint application of the DA's office as well as law enforcement?
I'm sorry. I'm with Clackamas County. I'm just a grant manager. I'm just
Okay.
learning, so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. So for this one, within SM Apply itself, it allows there to be an owner and then allows there to be collaborators. So the owner of the application, I'm going to go back a couple if that's okay, just to show something really quick that I think has value. So you'll see here on the left side of the screen where my name is as an owner and then add collaborator. So it's the
Mhm.
owner's responsibility to submit all that information. If they would like someone else to have access to it where they can put input information,
Mhm.
then they would add them as a collaborator. But I would encourage the conversation to happen within the task force itself to see who should have what responsibilities so that we don't get duplicate reports being submitted by everyone just trying to do the best that they can.
So do you recommend then would it be like a financial person that does it, or just pick someone that would do the whole entire
I
being
would
the owner of the report, I guess?
Yeah, so I would encourage that conversation within the task force itself and within the grantee themselves. So it may be that a financial individual is best to handle the expenditure reporting, but then someone who is experienced with the incident or involved within the incident is best
Mhm.
to complete that. But I would encourage that conversation to happen within the grantee's structure.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. I think that Mike was first, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, Buvang, I was just going to say that for the purposes of the reporting, I'm already going to have the majority of the information to enter because as far as the overtime, the mission reporting, the DA case numbers and such, I'm going to keep tabs on those and I'll be capable of entering it. So I'll just need the accounting information essentially from the expenditures for our overtime for the missions, but I will get with finance for that. So totally not a problem.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Mike. Okay. And then John?
Hi, Shelby.
Oh.
So we in Washington County are operating as a task force.
Mhm.
We had multiple agencies participate in a blitz, and I joined late, so I apologize if you already
Mhm.
covered this.
No.
If from the one blitz operation we arrest 20 individuals,
Mhm.
are we doing separate entries for each arrestee?
So I'm just going to go back again really quick just so I can show you what I'm referencing. I think that that'd be more helpful. So the incident form for an operation does start out with data that's specific to an incident, but as you move into it, and I apologize if you saw this, this is just repeating it, but just to make sure. So it does start with data that is specific to the incident as a whole, but farther down into it, it provides an opportunity to report on an individual and the encounter with the individual that happened at the time of the incident. So there's a blitz and there's 15 people that are encountered and you action was taken against that person and you need to report on it, you can do that all within the one incident
Okay,
form with
but
the idea that it would go ahead. I'm
we're
sorry.
still reporting data on individuals that are contacted.
Yes, please.
So as you might imagine, this can
Mhm.
become a very big administrative lift to do all of the data entry. Is there
Mhm.
a way to do a mass upload similar to what we're doing with deflection data?
I am happy to look into that. And maybe you and I could talk about that after this to see what that looks like for that other grant and see if it is something that could happen with this. But if you'd be interested in that, I'd be happy to talk about that and
Okay,
if that's
thanks.
okay.
And then
Yeah.
one more question.
Mhm.
So there is the law enforcement reporting and then the prosecution reporting. So
Mhm.
if we have a blitz where we contact a bunch of suspects involved in thefts, but then we have separate referrals from police agencies where no arrest was made, but the case is referred to our office for review and prosecution. Is that
Yeah.
how you're expecting us to divvy it up?
Yeah. So for an incident where it's a blitz with grantees and those are reported to you, I would encourage the use of the incident reporting form likely. And then if it's a report that's been referred to you for review that was referred by an agency that is not part of a task force and did not participate in the blitz, I would encourage the use of the prosecution form so that we can capture that within that form. So we can capture both grantee data and then information that's coming to DA's offices through agencies that aren't current grantees.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. All right. Any other questions before I move on to next steps? So next steps are relatively short. So it's just a reminder that quarterly reporting for Q0 and Q1 is due on November 15th. Please feel free to reach out to me if you think of any questions after this. My contact information is at the end, and I'm happy to work through all of these questions that you have. And then keep in mind that as we move forward with quarterly reporting for the life of the grant, we will move to follow the typical quarterly reporting deadlines that we discussed, of them being due typically by the 25th of the month in which they are released. Additionally, I will be posting this webinar recording onto our CJC YouTube channel. I will send out that link as well as my slides out in an email to everyone that attended and those that weren't able to. So feel free to share that and review that as you need. But otherwise, here's my contact information. Like I discussed, if you have any questions, I want to thank you guys all for participating in this and for submitting this data to us. It's the best way for us to monitor the progress of each grantee and to capture what it is that you're all doing. So I appreciate you taking the time to not only be here, but to submit this to us. But it looks like I'll give you back about half hour of this scheduled meeting. So thank you again for being here, and I hope you all have a great weekend.
Thanks, Shelby.